Solo travelers. What is your creepiest travel story? In Argentine Patagonia. Almost got hunted by a puma. It was dusk and I was overlooking the lake when I heard rustling behind me in the tree line. I kept staring for a while before I saw it, and thank God I didn't make a run for it, as it would have been my initial reaction. Instead I started yelling and cursing and throwing rocks at it as I had been told to do by the locals. And it left me alone. That night I kept a fire lit until late in the evening and then went to sleep with a flashlight on and my knife at hand, and that's not to sound badass. I never used it to hunt and I was scared as speep. Cursing. Now I'm imagining a puma that was going to eat you until you called it a CPEEP. Then it just gave up because you totally demoralized it. Puma. Geez. Buddy. I'm just trying to survive here. There's no need to get personal. Waking up to my hotel room being burgled. Was real annoying. Thankfully the only thing taken was my petty cash before I woke up and chased him out. Looks like they puts on glasses checked out. Yeah. I was staying in a B&B in Donegal, Ireland, where every room on the floor shared a bathroom. I went in one morning to pee and there was a man with his pants around his ankles asleep in the bathtub. The soap dish and towel rack were all torn off the wall and it appeared he had fallen over while relieving himself and fallen in the tub. While struggling to get out with his pants down, he had torn things from the wall. He then proceeded to pass out. I woke the man and helped him from the tub, after which he proceeded to hug me and declare me his hero. And this is how I ended up embraced by a drunken Irishman with his pant around his ankles. This is violently Irish. Traveling in Asia at the time. I got a tuk-tuk to go to the center of a village with a young driver. We started driving and he turned around while telling me he wouldn't take me to the center of the village because he knew a better spot in the jungle, a place he and his friends loved. I told him no. I want to go to the center of the village and that's it. He got angry and sped up while I was considering my chances of just jumping out. But then he also grabbed my arm in a tight grip, so I knew for sure no good would come from the situation. Luckily for me I had an umbrella with me, and with my free hand I started slamming him with it as hard as I could till he stopped the vehicle and he offered me to take me to the center of the village. Lol. No. I ended up walking 3 hours to the village. I had planned one more day there and was constantly confronted by people that I was the girl who attacked the tuk-tuk driver offering me rides. Pretty sure they were his friends. I strictly stayed in busy areas till I was able to take a train out. F that situation. My friend's buddy, female, apparently got sick in Thailand and decided to take the tuk-tuk back to the hotel by herself. She told the group to continue without her since she didn't want to spoil their fun. She went missing ever since that. This just got dark. Don't get drunk or fall asleep on the beaches in Thailand. That huge beach festival they throw there is a gold mine for criminals. Drunk tourists everywhere. Had some dude try to haul me off my first day in Berlin. He stopped to ask me a question when I was in Tiergarten. And proceeded to grab me by the wrist and refused to let me go. I had told him I was going to Alexanderplatz and he started dragging me out of the park. Telling me he would show me a shortcut that he insisted would only take 5 minutes to get there for those of you that have never been. It's at least a 30-minute walk. I was so panicked I didn't know what to do and couldn't even scream. All I could think was that he was going to take to somewhere where no one would be able to help me. I had a friend who I was staying with in the city text me at the right time and managed to beg off and say she was waiting for me back at Brandenburger Tor station, which was the opposite direction. He only let me go if I open-mouth kissed him goodbye and gave me his number, which he made me call, so he was sure I had the right one. He was pulling me towards the Holocaust Memorial. So after he let go I rushed to it and hid in it so he wouldn't follow me. Funnily enough, that night was the first day of the 2014 World Cup. I was still really shaken, but still wanted to watch the game. I also wanted to go somewhere where I could talk to people in English because I was very peep dealing with Germans at that point. I ended up at an Irish bar and the Irish bartender is now my husband and we live in Berlin. which he made me call so he was sure I had the right one. Oof. I have had pretty similar experience in Orleans, France, except it was the bus driver and I was the last passenger on the bus. He wouldn't open the doors to let me out unless I gave him my number. Thought I was being clever giving him a fake number, but he whipped out his phone and called it in front of me. I actually stopped being scared because I was too busy dying inside of terminal cringing, as we both stood in silence waiting for a ringtone that I knew was not going to happen. 0-10 for that bus ride, but I'd only taken it because people kept masturbating in the tram shelters. I'm sure there's a good way to get around that city, but I sure didn't find it. Definitely didn't meet any future husbands. I did once end up on a double date with a pair of male cousins. No other parties involved. I was apparently both their dates. Strange place. The number of exhibitionists we encounter in these public transpos are unbelievable. Honestly though, what do these men get after exposing themselves out there? Nobody wants to see your dick. For me, it was when I was driving from Georgia to California to visit a friend. I didn't want to fly because I wanted to sightsee on the way. When I got to San Diego, the hotel I booked on Expedia screamed run from the get-go. But I was exhausted and wanted to rest. Got my room key and checked in. I locked the door, and because I am always on guard, I locked the bar on the door for extra safety. About 4 a.m. I was sleeping and heard someone trying to come in my room. They had opened the door but couldn't get past the little bar that was locked. I quickly got up, threw clothes on, and went to the door to see what was going on. Two guys outside the door with their hand in the slit of the door yelling at me. They kept saying, "Come here, pretty girl. Oh, a pretty face," or something like that. I called the front desk to see what was going on and they said, "Oh, I didn't know you were still here." I was beyond furious and went to the front desk with all my stuff. The lady at the desk said I didn't have a reservation even though I had my paper saying I checked in, my car decal stickers for parking there, and the room key. She said she rented the room out that I was in for the next month. Flabbergasted, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She looked up my information and said, "Oh, I see you didn't book with us but Expedia. We don't partner with them." Still confused as to why the world I was given a room, paid for it, and had issues being in it. She refused to call her manager at 5 a.m. by that point. So I waited until they got in at 9 a.m. Demanded a refund. Got it. And checked out. No matter how terrified the ordeal seemed, I think it would have ended differently had I not locked the bar on the door. Wow. None of that was to do with a booking error. Shady AF. I hope you notified Expedia to take that hotel off their website? I did. They responded that they would look into it but never heard anything back. I did leave a review on Google and Yelp to warn others staying there. Almost got mugged in Paris on the steps of Sacré-Cœur. Surrounded by 5 assailants and had no choice but to shout at the top of my lungs. As soon as I did, they scattered. When my wife and I went to Sacré-Cœur, we found the ball and cup game guys, so we stopped to watch for a few minutes. I had recently watched some show on Netflix about how the scam operates, so I stood there people watching for a few minutes trying to identify who was in on it. There was a woman playing who was definitely in on it because she kept winning, and 2 or 3 other guys who were occasionally playing but mostly hype guys. They end up getting some tourists to play and he wins/loses a few rounds until they're up to €100 per round. Well, the scammer let him win that one. And the tourist decided that was enough, so he took his profit and left. As he's walking away, the woman who was in on it follows, yelling at him to keep playing and that he could make so much money. And the other guys who are in on it are following too, but keeping a low profile. We watched the tourist get followed by these people for probably 3 blocks before I guess they realized it was too crowded to just mug him and get their money back and his money. That is hilarious. That tourist knew exactly what he was doing. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a local just scamming the scammers. Leave a like and a comment if you liked the video. Check out more Reddit related video. I am posting them daily. Subscribe to see more Reddit content.